All right, thanks for checking out another edition of the Thunder Underground podcast. My name is Trent.
My name is Jason.
And check us out online at thethunderunderground.com. And all our social medias, we'll get into that here in a bit. But we want to let you know right off the bat, while we're here this week, we're bringing you an interview with two of the members of the band Murder FM. That's Norman Matthew, the singer, and he's also guitarist and the programmer. And then there is Matt, who is also the guitarist, and both of them joined us for a nice, good, lengthy chat.
Yes, this is probably the longest talk we've had in the last few episodes.
Yeah,
and it was really good. We covered a lot of stuff, and again, it was kind of got into that thing of just dudes talking about music, which is what we like. So it was another fun one. And I'm sure you guys will love it.
Yeah, we checked them out when they came into Tulsa as part of the Revolver South for the Wind tour, which was headlined by Seasons After. And it also includes Everybody Panic. Shout out to them because they're from Oklahoma as well.
Damn straight.
And Murder FM was on this leg of the tour, and I believe by the time you hear this, they'll be off it. But as we talk about in the chat with them, they're getting ready to head out on the road with Head P and Alien Ant Farm.
Yes. So
you have plenty of opportunities to check these guys out. If you haven't heard of them, do yourself a favor and check them out. It's kind of a cool, it's not typical what you hear on the radio. It's got a good, it's got some electronic elements. It's got some stuff has a Marilyn Manson vibe at times. Some stuff has a 80s arena rock vibe at times. Some
like
stuff
a
just
big
has
rock thing going on.
Yeah, and just a hard rock. It fits well on the radio, but it's also not, stock, which is good.
Yeah, of course. Like you said, it's not typical, so that's definitely a plus.
Yeah. You can check these guys out on Facebook at Murder FM Official.
But before that, there's also stuff going around in the rock news circles that we just cannot ignore, and that is the possibility of your favorite band in the world, Guns N' Roses, reuniting. Is this even something that's going to happen or something that's worth talking about? What do you think, being your favorite band?
I don't know. Anything's worth talking about, right?
Yeah, definitely.
And it's something we've all, as rock fans, whether it's your favorite band or not, if you're a hard rock fan, you've either like or hate Guns N' Roses since you were a kid.
Yeah.
And so it's something people have always talked about through time.
Well, see, and that's why I said, is it worth talking about? Because this shit comes up every couple of years.
Right.
And is it just another, swell in the rumor mill, or is something going on?
Well, I would think it's the first time it's legitimate that you could believe something's really going to happen.
Okay.
Because, there's not two of the three guitarists quit, and all of a sudden Slash and Axl are back on speaking terms.
Yeah.
So it just kind of times out to make sense, right?
It does. It's like, that's convenient.
Right.
Yeah.
So I don't know. Obviously don't know anything any more than any other person in the world does, but I think last week Eddie Trunk was talking about it, and he mentioned a good point, which is normally in cases like this, it gets shot down by someone pretty quick.
Yes.
When rumors start to swirl and it becomes a big news item like this did, someone's going to come out and deny it, up until the point that it happens.
Exactly.
But no one's denied it. So
it's been mum's the word on all camps.
Yeah.
Every guy, Axl, Slash stuff, whatever, has been tight-lipped.
Yeah.
And that was, I think, like you said, that was Eddie Trunk's point. So something's going on. Something is maybe in the works here.
And then the second rumor that came out was that, that it won't be one of the not two original, there's only one original, but it won't be Steven Adler or Matt Sorum, and it won't be Izzy Stradlin or Gilby Clarke.
Yeah, it's just going to be, that was the thing, it was just going to be Axl, Slash, and Duff. What do you think about that?
I don't know, it doesn't surprise me, but I also think it's going to alienate some people. People that have sat around and hoped for it, now they're There's always going to be someone that's pissed off about something, right? No matter what happens.
Oh, yeah, no matter what. There's going to be people, if they all fucking reunite, there's going to be people pissed off that they reunited.
Right.
So, what do you do?
Yeah, see, as a fan, you know, if you're listening to us, you can go back, way back. I think it was episode...
Like 3 or 4 or something.
4, maybe. And we just sat around with one of our friends, Mike Thrasher, and talked about Guns N' Roses. Because besides me, it was his favorite band growing up. And, you know, we talked about it, and I said in that one that I've, throughout time, since, you know, they kind of fell apart in the mid-90s, there's never been a point where I didn't think that this was eventually going to happen.
Yeah.
And, you know, I always figured, you know, in the last few years, thinking if it happened that it would be one of the guitarists that is there now, which at this point is just Richard Fortus, filling the Izzy role. Because we knew, if you know anything about Izzy, you know he's likely not going to do it.
No, I don't think, I think you're right.
And I just figured that Axl would try to push to keep one of his guys rather than bring back in Gilby, since Gilby wasn't, you know, an original guy, and he was more just a touring guy, and he played on Spaghetti Incident. So it wasn't really a guy that needed to be there. Even though as a big fan, I would love to see him there.
True.
So, but the only thing that does shock me is not having Matt Sorum or Steven Adler.
Yeah, that's weird. And that was like kind of my next thing I wanted to get into with you was, how do you handle that? And maybe that's why they're just not going to address it at all. Maybe that's why they don't want to make that choice. So they're just going to have, you know, the whoever the current drummer is. Right. You know, maybe that's why. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point, I guess. Maybe they didn't want to go with Adler because of the reasons they kicked him out in the first place.
Yeah.
You know, and he's back and forth, even though he seems to be doing good now. And then rather than bring in Sorum and then have people bitch that it's not their original lineup, even though Sorum was there on 2 massive albums.
Definitely.
Then they can just say, well, let's just go with this guy, you know. Frank Furrer is who it is, right?
Frank Farrar?
Farrar, is that how you say it?
I think so.
I don't even know how to say it.
I think so. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I think that if they do just have a Axl Duff Slash thing, it's kind of like bringing the fans almost to climax, but then just like petering out. Because I think the fans really want the whole thing, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think that, you know, like you said, there's going to be people pissed, but that would still be I think they could still do stadiums with that.
Yeah, I think they wouldn't have a problem filling up stadiums with those 3, you know, with bringing Slash and Duff back in the mix. Because I think that the average rock fan that isn't like a big music geek that just listens to whatever's presented to them on the radio is all they care about is if Slash and Axl's on stage together.
Yeah.
Duff obviously as well because he's the name guy, but most people, if Slash is standing on that stage with Axl, that's all they care about.
All is right with the world.
Right. But, you know, if you're a big geek like us or you're just really into rock music, you know that for it to be Guns N' Roses, you need Duff. And ideally, you would love to have Izzy Stradlin because in my eyes, he's kind of the backbone of that whole Appetite for Destruction. But that's not going to happen, so
yeah,
there's no reason to speculate on that.
Yeah. Let me ask you something I just thought of. I've seen they've already announced the headliners for Download in 2016. Iron Maiden one night, Black Sabbath one night, and Rammstein one night. Is Rammstein are they a headliner in Europe?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know as much as you do about them. I mean, could they maybe be holding out for like Guns N' Roses?
No, Rammstein's massive.
Okay.
Like everywhere but America. And even America, they...
Gotcha.
Remember they stayed away long enough that when they came back a couple years ago...
Yeah, they did.
They were playing
They did
basketball
arenas, right? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so... But yeah, outside of America, especially in Europe, they're headline anywhere they play for the most part.
Yeah.
So...
Well, we'll see. It's going to be interesting, and we'll all just have to stay tuned to this issue going on.
Yeah.
And, thanks for letting us get a little rock talk out of the way. We want to get back to this Murder FM interview. It was a great chat. We talked about The Cure. We talked about influences. We talked about Bo Hill, who produced Warrant, and who is pretty steeped in the Murder FM camp. So that was interesting. Which we have an episode with Joey Allen of Warrant that you should go check out.
Yes. Hit us up, SoundCloud, Thunder-Underground. It's got all our episodes listed on there. Joey Allen of Warrant, of course, is one of them several episodes ago. We've also got a lot of, some metal guys recently, like Kirk Winstein from Crowbar and Down.
Yes, and that was a very successful episode. Thank you, everybody that listened.
Yes. And we had Wino, who's, if you're not familiar with that name, he's a legend in the doom metal genre.
Oh, without a doubt.
So if you're into stoner metal, doom metal, all that, you know him. But if you don't, just go check him out, because this guy is, I don't know how to put it, fantastic, Right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah, and we've got, all kinds of other stuff. So be sure and check us out on SoundCloud. Like I said, Thunder-Underground. You can check us out online at thethunderunderground.com. We're on Facebook and Instagram and YouTube. All those are The Thunder Underground, all one word. And then Twitter is THNDRUNDR Ground. So I guess with all that being said, let's get right into this episode with Norman and Matt from Murder FM.
Lighting's better. There's a mood.
Oh, dang. You want sexy? Extra sexy?
There you go.
Or you want to see her face? Or damn, she's ugly. There you go.
That's usually what he pulls, so keep it on that.
All right, right on. Oh, shit, wow.
I'm just kidding.
We're coming up to the end of your run with this tour. Like, how's it been going so far?
You know what? It's been awesome. It's this Revolver magazine run with Seasons After and Everybody Panic has been great. It's our third run behind our new record, Happily Never After, that just came out in August, and it's definitely better than our previous run. It's just, and not because it was bad, it's just you're building, and you start to see the fruits of your labors. We've been at it for a few years, but to have a major release behind it, that you're supporting, and it's obviously exponentially different, and we're getting ready to run on the road with Head PE and Alien Ant Farm after this. So right now it's up and up and up and up and up, which I'm excited about.
Okay. When Revolver is behind this, what does that mean actually? What do they help you out with?
You know what? That would be on Dawson's side more than anything, from Seasons After, but definitely presenting and that they support it through the magazine, through all their social media outlets.
Yeah.
I mean, and really the branding as well.
Yeah.
It's like you're really trying to get with a demographic and a market, and you put that Revolver stamp on there, and it's like, oh, okay, like, definitely got to check this out.
Yeah, you see that on the post, you're like, whoa, hey.
Yeah, your mind just kind of gets blown. So it's definitely a branding thing, too. And I mean, for us, we've had a lot of support from Revolver. Revolver's actually premiered our video "We the Evil" before we broke our full-length record or even signed our deal. So they were very instrumental in really pushing our band over the cliff, which led to shows with Five Finger Death Punch, The Pretty Reckless, Rob Zombie, which led to the Avatar tour, which led to Gemini and Fozzy, which inking the deal at that point. We started talking to the label in September of last year, and finally laid it down in February of this year. So for us, we're kind of we work with Revolver now, which is great,
Yeah, cool. And I like this lineup, and then that, like you mentioned, the Alien Ant Farm and Head P. It's like a diverse, 3 bands are different from each other.
It is.
So it's cool to see that, and I wish more, tours were like that.
Yeah, and they go hand in hand as well, because we've got a little bit of each of those bands, Head PE and Alien Ant Farm, in the sense that we've got that commercial accessibility in our songs the way the Alien Ant Farm would, but we've got that dirt under our fingernails the way the Head is, So it's kind of like we're kind of in the middle, and it's weird. Everyone, when we've been announcing it, they're like, oh my god, Head PE, and I'm like, how does everyone still love this band? I mean, because I don't hang out in the scene, so I don't know what everybody listens to.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I love them since they first came out. So it's amazing, you know, all our promoter friends and stuff are like, dude, those shows always sell out. And you're like, what? Yeah. I mean, I don't not believe it. It's more of like, that's amazing, you know what I mean? Because Jared, he's been going at it forever, dude. I must have met him when I was like 14 when they came out. Yeah. He had this big old thing of dreads, and he was just cool as could fucking be to me, dude. And to see him still doing it at that level, that's what I mean. That's amazing. Yeah. You know, and I'm just glad to be a part of that. Right. You know, that's the kind of work ethic that I want to have. Cool.
Yeah, they're one of those bands that's always had that strong following.
It's amazing.
You know, they had early radio success, but then it just, like you said, it's always sold out no matter what.
Yeah.
They come around here, you know, quite a bit, at least once every year or two.
Yeah. They just tear it up, huh?
Yeah, they pack it out.
They do Canes or something.
Yeah.
Is Canes out here?
It's like just right down the street.
About a quarter-mile away.
Oh, nice. Yeah. That's where we were supposed to be, but Matt and I decided we should play a smaller venue. Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. We're like, we don't want the big venue. We should be in the small venue. Like, we want it to be sweaty and nasty. Yeah. Canes, you're going to have to wait to the next round.
But for being a tiny place, this place sounds great.
Yeah. It does, man. You know what? I was feeling that during sound check.
This is awesome.
Right?
I haven't seen a bad show here. It always sounds really good.
Nice.
They seem really particular about the way that they do things. Having someone out front and they kind of know, like, we're gonna run sound from side stage, so someone needs to be up front, and that guy needs to know what he's talking about. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, Jake, the guy that runs it, every show I've been at, I see him, you know, every few songs he'll come out and stand in the middle to make sure it sounds right, and go back to the board. So he's really on point with this stuff.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But I was gonna ask you guys, your sound kind of draws from all these different elements, like arena rock, industrial, just heavy guitar rock, everything, you know. So I just, like, how would you describe this band to someone that's never heard you?
Let Matt take that one, and then I'll give you the other answer.
So my favorite thing to tell people when we're standing in somewhere in the Bible Belt and everyone's staring at my face tattoos is that we are lesbian vampire mariachis. And the cool thing is that we only have to play once a month. But I think a lot of it comes from, I don't know, just kind of spending time bouncing ideas off of each other, and then Norman really getting, like, zeroing in on the way that I would write a guitar part, and so he gets excited to write guitar parts that I'm gonna like, or I'll send him an idea like, dude, you're gonna turn that into, like, the, you know, the panty dropper of a lifetime, and you know what I mean, and where all of our where all of our influences come from, all of our backgrounds, it kind of became this, you know, like, I see a lot of dudes in bands that, like, they play for bands that they don't like the music. You know what I mean? Like, they're like, oh, yeah, I play for this metal band, but, like, my other band is like this. And it's very weird to me to, like, that's weird. Why would you be in a band that you can't, you know what I mean? You're not playing what you like to play. So I think a lot of our sound comes from Norman having the ability to write parts that we're going to enjoy playing based on how he knows we like to play, or any ideas that we send him are like, man, there's this killer bass line that I want for Jay to play super loud. Can we leave that, like, out in the open, and then your creamy vocals, and then my heavy guitars, and then Shakes being Shakes, you know what I mean? Like, just Shakes hits stuff. And I think that's a lot of what it is. Like, it's weird because you can kind of catch all our influences, but it's almost impossible to describe, you know what I mean? Because it's like, oh, well, right as you're about to call it the new Rob Zombie sound, it turns into something else, and then you're like, oh, cool, it's the new Guns N' Roses sound, and it turns into something else, and it's kind of impossible to, like, that's what it is, and that's why, because it just kind of, that is how it ended up being, and we figured out figured out how to make it all work together.
Yeah, I grew up on big records, and so I wanted us to have a big sound. You know what I mean? Everyone's trying to fit in a scene and do a certain thing, and it was like, you know how we're going to stick out? By just doing what we, you know, at least for me, grew up on. Rock music belonged in arenas. That's where I saw it. That's where I grew up in it. You know, so it's like I always wanted to give people that same sort of, like, simplicity. Yeah. Killer drum, just
Yeah.
You know, cracking away, simple guitar riffs, simple hooks. Get to the fucking point. You know what I mean? For us, you know, and that's not to say that anything that is complex is bad. Just for us, that's what I liked. You know, because that's, to me, that's real of who we are. Like, get to the point. You know, there's not really like a lot of layers to this onion. You know what I mean? I'd like to feel smart that way and very artistic, but it's like, dude, even I don't want to listen after 3.5 minutes, so I shouldn't expect anyone else to want to as well, you know?
I'm the same way. I like when stuff is short and to the point. If we're getting into 4 or 5 minutes, I start to lose, unless it's like a certain band or two that I like. But
right,
you know, and I like, you know, what you said about a big sound, because I hear that. You know, there's a lot of like wide open, epic stuff going on. That's really cool.
Thanks, man.
Yeah,
it was like I want people to listen to the record twice, and a third time. And the fourth time, not like, cool, that was good, I hope I never hear that again. You know what I mean? Like, I love Periphery, but I hear the whole record through, and I won't listen to it for like 2 months. Just because I'm like, dude, my brain.
You got to be in the mindset.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
It's a lot to handle.
I never got into Rush. Which I know our drummer would probably shoot me if he was in here. But I just couldn't wrap my head around. I mean, it's too much thinking, dude. And I was like a calculator, and you know what I mean? So even Dream Theater, I would listen to the cool riffs, like the first minute and a half, and be like, next song. You know what I mean? Next song. You know what I mean? So that's just kind of our thought process.
Right on.
You mentioned writing, and you guys writing stuff separate and bringing it together. Is that how you normally write, or do you guys write a lot of stuff together, or is it all?
We try to avoid each other as much as possible.
We actually live on opposite sides of Texas.
Okay.
No, we really do.
No, he's like, we're not even joking.
Yeah, no, we really do. It's kind of a filter process, simply because we don't want to be that band that is there with everybody in a room for 2 years trying to put out an album. And man, I really want, like, no one gets their feelings hurt that way. It's like, cool, I'm going to just send all of my ideas to Norman. And if I hear it come out on the album, rock and roll. If not rock and roll, I probably didn't want to play it anyway. So it kind of, basically what we do is we take all of our ideas and we dump it into this big machine, and then we feed it hot dogs and Cheetos and tour food, and push a button and you get a hit record.
It works? Yeah.
That's how it works.
Nice formula.
It is. Hot dogs, Cheetos, and tour food.
It keeps a lot of things fresh, man. You know, doing it that way. I'm not a jammer, so I couldn't sit and jam on this long-ended riff forever and be like, where do we go next? And when you do that, to me, it doesn't feel like you're doing a black and white sketch and the band is putting in the color. It feels like a bunch of kindergartners, like cutting out squares and stars and circles and being like, pasting it in glue stick. Here's our song. And you're like, everyone got their say, and that's obviously clear. You know what I mean? Like, in the song. For me. You know what I mean? Other people work well that way. Like, I don't. I need to complete a sentence and then have someone correct it and then, you know, go back and forth that way. That's just the way that I work. You know what I mean? So I'd be terrible, like, in a business or in a debate. Unless I could finish my sentence, I would just give up. Be like, whatever you guys want. I don't care. So we write the same way, but it does. I think it keeps it fresh, you know, and we've had that luxury. Now that we've got this deal in place and we've got a second record that's got to come out, you know, the process may have to speed itself up quite a bit. And it might be different, but at least up until now, this is the way it's been, and I love it.
Cool.
Because I think we've had time to let the songs mature and really, like, filter out stuff. Because when you first write it, I mean, you're like, dude, this is the best song I've ever written. You know, and then you go back and revisit it later, 6 months, and you're like, it's just terrible. You know what I mean? I'm so glad we didn't put that out. And that happens a lot, because these dudes are always like, dude, we should bring back this song. And I'm like, I wrote it, and I don't even want to bring it back, man. Like, and it's not, it's weird. It's not like a pride thing of like, I don't like that song. It's just like, dude, there's so much better. And I'm always trying to think big picture for the band. You know what I mean? Like, not just, oh, that was a great riff or that was a great lyric. It's like, man, is that going to serve the purpose of what we're trying to accomplish, though, you know? So, when we write, it's great to do it apart.
Cool. Well, you know, for a song like Burn, for instance, we thought, you know, that has like a real, like, Depeche Mode kind of, you know, thing going on, but, like, with a harder edge. And, I know, we just want to talk about that a little bit, because that stuck out to us.
Oh, did it really? Well, that's what we did. That song's actually a cover by The Cure.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was from the Crow soundtrack. And here's what's weirder. I love The Cure, but there was always that missing punch for me from the band. It was like, oh man, I would love to hear this done heavier. So I took the tune and I was like, man, let's do it the way we would have done it if we wrote it. Because to me, that's the way I think cover should be. Yeah, like cover it as if your band had written it. You know what I mean? Yeah. So we really put like our stamp into it because that was the thing, man. I loved The Cure, and I was like, dude, there's no nuts though, you know. So it was like I got to throw it in there, and that's funny. That one always sticks out, and I wanted to pick a Cure song that was like, unless you were diehard or like into the movie The Crow, you weren't really gonna know. And we get that a lot. They're like, "Oh, you're
got me."
Yeah, got me, that's awesome.
Well, and that's the thing is, you know, admittedly I'm not a big Cure fan at all, and you got me. But now I want to go.
Most metal dude,
you know, now I want to go hear that song.
Right? Oh, that's cool, man. Go check it out and you'll compare them.
Yeah, I was like, well, I got to hear that now. So.
Nice.
I even had the Crow soundtrack, and I don't remember that.
Yeah,
I just had it for the Nine Inch Nails song and the Pantera song.
You know what? And that's why it's actually in the original track listing. It's tucked in between those two.
Okay.
It's 9 Inch Nails. Doom 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 doom. Then it goes into Burn, and then some other song, and then the Pantera one's track 5. Nice. Dude, I used to listen to that on cassette religiously. Yeah, so it's like when you're in between those two, and I love Nails and Pantera at that time. So you were gonna get lost. So for sure,
you get lost on your way to Pantera.
Well, because you know, when you're, I don't know, what were we? We were like, I don't know, 18, 19. So we were all just about, you know.
Yeah. So you're probably like, this
Cure,
is whack.
Skip, you know.
Yep.
Yeah.
Helmet, what was like in the middle too.
That was awesome too.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, and then any of the other songs on there, you were like, what was the one that can't rain all the time? Like all the B-side songs, everyone skipped. Because I know I did. I just listened to side A, man. But that was one of those moments of like, this band is so great. Like if they just had a punch, man, I know people would love them.
That's awesome.
You know, because it was something, they were so dark.
Yeah.
And no one ever got that because the presentation of it was so light. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? But it's like, dude, this band is dark, bro. Like, this fool needs a hug. You know what I mean? Like, it was, and not even like I want to kill myself way, just like, dang.
Yeah.
You know, so I always felt that that would just be kind of cool.
That's awesome.
You know, and they brought the dark imagery and stuff that we like to the forefront as well. You know, that a lot of people don't think of. You know what I mean? Like where Manson got it from, like where Nails got it from. That high contrast, that black hair, pale skin. It was like, dude, that was from that band. Yeah. And no one gets it. You know?
Yeah, definitely.
So
something I've always wondered from bands that have, you know, electronic or industrial elements, like you guys have the. Not really industrial, but the electronic elements in some of the songs. Like, is that something that do you hear that in your head, like while you're writing a song, or is it something you go back to a completed song and then add what you think would work?
Both.
Okay.
Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, the way that I'll write sometimes is in chunks anyways. I'll come up with an idea and I'll lay the riff and then I'll, throw some drums over it. And I kind of, to get the feel of that's how it's going to be, because I have my own studio, so I'm able to do it. And usually I almost always go to finding some sort of electronic noise, nuance, something, just because I don't want to be a stock rock band of drum, guitar, and vocal. Yeah. So I'm always going to try and find something to throw in there, even if it's like a synth, following the guitar, just to bring the guitar riff out, whatever it may be. Yeah. So, I mean, it's always, I've got my setup and my template of like the way that I want to roll, just to give us that little bit of difference. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't know if it's a win or loss for us, but at least we're different.
That's right. That's right.
Well, you mentioned, the Cure, obviously, and arena rock, and like, what are your biggest influences, since you guys obviously pull from all these different areas?
Opposite ends of the universe.
For sure.
I was actually born in a really unique time. I was born in 1986 when I maintain I should have been 18. So I was raised by two people with the same size hair. And so I got all of the good big arena, Mötley Crüe, Kiss, all that stuff. Like, I got that upbringing, but I was also 18 at the time that nu metal happened, and everyone was tuning to the ground, and it was just like
X flat.
Yeah, X flat.
Tuning to C is what we always say.
Too low sharp. Just everything like.
Right. I tell people we play an E quadruple flat.
E quadruple
That's
flat.
some next level shit.
Yeah.
Blows your mind.
What scale is that in? Logian.
Yeah.
Right.
So I guess for me, I can kind of hang when it comes to like, you know, when everyone has an old school hair vibe going on and the music's going and it's like, cool man, yeah, I can get down. Not many dudes my age know who Saxon was. You know what I mean? Tigers of Pantang. Like no one knows. You know what I mean? Like there you go. Like nobody expects me to know. I go head to head with fools all the time. I win all sorts of money.
Yeah.
Like all sorts of money in bars going, yeah? Okay, cool. Yeah. How many years did Mike Vercera sing for Loudness? What? You know what I mean? It fools trip, you know what I mean? But at the same turn of events, I'm the first to throw on Periphery because I was brought into that whole, you know what I mean? So I guess being a little more guitar shreddy oriented, I'm I guess the heavier of the digs, I can kind of, I don't know, I like the techie stuff and the proggy stuff, but I like it all. And I think that's why me and everybody click. Like it just, I don't know, I have a like for everything. I guess my biggest influences, to answer your question, would probably be, you know, where anyone my age started would be the Metallicas, the Panteras, the Slayers, but of that time. Even though my dad made sure that it was proper, that, you know, yes, this is Metallica and that, you know, blah blah blah, but check out Kill 'Em All first. And then get that. The same way that you make a new girlfriend watch Star Wars. Like, the right way. You know what I mean? My dad was like, no, check it out. Listen to this album first. And then, I got Show No Mercy for Christmas one year. My mom was pissed.
Awesome.
She was pissed. She was like, I don't remember putting that in there. And my dad, of course, Santa Claus brought it. Like, what do you mean? Yeah, Santa Claus brought Show No Mercy. Good call, you know what I mean? But, so, I mean, I got a really good background, a foundation of, you know, Metallica, Slayer, Pantera, but then Slipknot happened, and it was like, these dudes are doing what I want to be doing, like, louder and faster, and it kind of just snowballed that way to where now no music makes sense the second you put it on, and it's just like, yeah, I like that, because I can tune it out. Like, these guys get all, like, irritated with it, and I'm just like, it's awesome background noise, because it's like listening to numbers, and it's awesome because I can ignore it, and that's what I like, you know what I mean? So
Yeah, I can understand that.
that's where I'm
But
at.
you and I are the closest in age, so we were the same way. Like, I grew up on the 80s stuff, but I obviously liked the more romantical side of things.
Yeah. Nice.
I loved power ballads.
Yeah.
And so that just kind of seeped into my brain. Just like power ballads, guitar riffs. I wanted to be Slash and Axl in one.
Yeah.
So that's why I decided to play guitar and sing.
Okay. There
You
you
know
go.
what I mean? I loved Metallica, but I caught them at the Black Album and then went in reverse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it was like, to me, it was rediscovering what had already been discovered. So,
Yeah. Okay.
and then I don't know, man. I think I kind of dropped off around being influenced by things around 9 Inch Nails and Depeche Mode. Because I think at that point, I'd read an article with Nuno Bettencourt of Extreme,
Yeah.
my favorite guitar player, and he had said something, yeah, I can solo like crazy, I know that, but I gotta write songs.
Yeah.
And at that point I was learning like Passion and Warfare from Steve Vai, like inside and out, and I was like, yeah, no joke, man.
Yeah.
Like, I gotta write tunes. And then I'd read another article about Eddie Van Halen, how his guitar teacher had told his dad, I can't teach him anymore. I mean, I can, but if I do, he's gonna become the book and he's not gonna become who he's supposed to be. So I stopped letting myself, I guess, get influenced by things and just start trying to write
Yeah.
what I wanted to hear that I wasn't hearing from bands. And man, it took a long time. Like, my first bands were terrible, and like the first songs that I wrote were terrible, you know. And like, even my first band that like signed to a Capitol was like trying to be The Cure with Nuts, you know what I mean? And we must have been doing something right because we made our way up to Capitol.
Yeah.
But still, it was like, it took a really long time to find that identity. You know what I mean? And I purposely was always against the grain.
Yeah.
It was like, if something was cool, I didn't want to do it
Yeah.
just because it was
Oh,
cool.
definitely,
If like
yeah.
there was this band that was cool, I didn't want to be involved with it. If the emo thing was breaking out, I went the opposite way. If metalcore was a thing, then I was gonna make my songs simpler and my breakdowns different and sing even more just to make everybody mad. You know what I mean? Because I didn't want to fit in, because I wanted to be like, and I still do. Like, I'd rather be a terrible version of myself than like a good version of somebody else. you know, and I'd rather suck at being me.
Yeah.
That's weird.
Well,
But
that's understandable.
that's
for
terrible
sure.
business acumen. But at the same time,
It
if
makes
it
the
works,
music more real, right?
yeah, you know, and it could end up being its own thing that was like broke like the way Nirvana did, you know. I don't think we'd break like Nirvana, but man, that would be great because at least we were doing our own thing.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? So it's
exactly.
not hard to continue that because you're like, I wasn't trying to follow something all the time.
Yeah.
I was always just writing what came out of me. So writing more records for the next 20 years is not an issue because I'm not trying to chase whatever
Sure.
is hot, you know?
Well, speaking of arena rock, both of us are admittedly massive fans of Warrant.
Hell
Still to
yeah.
this day. So whenever we saw the
Yeah.
name Bo Hill, you know, it kind of piqued our interest. And like, how did that all come about?
Bo is my like life mentor at this point, which is really awesome.
Wow.
Uncle Bo. I mean, dude, he's telling me about stocks, he's telling me about production, he's telling me about everything. And I was in an industrial band called Never Enough. And we were on Koch when Koch was turned into E1 Entertainment, so we got lost in the shuffle. Our record just kind of sat in oblivion until it disappeared. But I'd worked with him on that record, and he had called me one day, and there was two moments that made Bo and I really click. The first time he called me, he was like, "Hey man, your drums, this track, you got to resend it to me, and it's like distorting and real noisy, and I'm just gonna have to get a clean track." And I was like, "No man, that's how it is. Like that's the sound, isn't it cool?" And he's like, "Really? Okay, I guess I'll make it work." And he made it work, and then he fell in love with it because he came from that pop formula, but he felt like he was missing his edge. And I had an edge, but wasn't too much that was like in the stratosphere, completely different kind of edge that I didn't know how to think in some sort of structure. You know what I mean? Like, oh, let's just be the most ridiculous shit ever. It was like I still had reins on myself, so I was able to write that way. And then the second one was he was listening to one of the ballads, Hush, on that record. He was like, "Who wrote all these songs?" And I was like, "I did, other than maybe like 2 of them." And he's like, "Man, I need you to help me write for some of these younger bands that I'm producing that they don't get it. They're trying to do the scene thing, they're trying to do the core thing, and they're not understanding there's no longevity in it. Because they watch all their bands and all their heroes in that scene, and they all change. Motionless in White, Asking Alexandria, Bring Me the Horizon, they all like become big rock sounding bands.
Right.
Simple riffs, big hooks to the point. You know what I mean? They grow up and they grow and they evolve. So I was like, yeah, absolutely. And so we started writing. I'd read a lot of songs for the bands he was working with, and I ended up having the second Never Enough record, which is going to be the first Murder FM record. He really encouraged me to release it. He's like, "We'll put together the band, dude. Like, just release the record. I think there's something hot there. Use the little bit of buzz you have within the industry to build on." And we just stuck together, man. We became a team. I'd bounce off my songs off him, go back and forth to Austin, where his studio is. He'd come up to Dallas. I mean, we're just through email, traveling back and forth, hanging out, and just came up with the Murder FM sound. So really, like, Bo is a huge part of it. A very, very, very big part of it that I don't think we'll ever not be a part of, which is cool. You know what I mean?
That's awesome.
That's a good person to have
Yeah.
in your
yeah,
corner.
definitely.
You know, it really is.
So you think even in like future records of Murder FM, he's going to be involved?
Oh yeah,
Production.
I mean,
Okay.
dude, I'm gonna have to fight to get him off of us, which is a good thing because I don't want to. You know what I mean? It's like it's worked well to this point. Like, keep it going. And the thing is, it's very hard. Even, I mean, he and I sat down with it. He's like, "I'd love for you to have another producer if it meant your band was gonna evolve, but like, who would we get? Because anyone new wouldn't really get what you guys are trying to do." He's like, "I mean, there's nowhere else for you to go but like Bob Rock or something." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Brendan O'Brien, like all the big dudes. He's like, "You got nowhere to go but up." So I was like, "You're right, man. You know, might as well stick with you. You're all right, old chum." You know what I mean? Like, he's actually, no, man, I don't foresee that because the way we've done the records is I've had 100% control of how the songs were going to go down, and he just made sure that they like went in a format that was like, all right, if we're gonna hit radio, and we're not shy about it. At least I'm not. I'm like, dude, I want our band to be successful. I want to be big. I want to be on the radio. I want to fucking sell out every night. I hate when bands try and play that cool card, and I think that's what's missing in the excitement of the rock genre and the industry right now. Is everyone's trying to be coy and like, no, we just want to play because we love it.
Yeah.
I'm like, fuck that, dude. I want to be huge. I want to sell out arenas. I want to cruise in that Hummer limo that just drove by us.
That's right.
You know what I mean? I
Yeah,
want to have
exactly.
my own bus and talk to these guys only when we're on stage. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, I'm going to go back and swim in my money later. Bye. You know what I mean? But see, even you guys are laughing, and that's what I'm saying. It's that fun, that excitement.
Yeah.
Like, man, like, the shit you loved when you heard bands when you were young. Dude, you just crowd roaring, not like everyone too cool, standing in the back.
Yeah.
You know, man, maybe you guys are all right. We'll see, you know?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I'm not shy about it, you know, and that's, you know, I think he's going to be the dude that's going to help us get there.
Awesome.
Because he has those ideals in place.
Yeah.
That even without talking to him, just like with the band, I don't have to be in a room with them to know, like, that's not going to work anyways, you know?
Oh, I just got a great idea.
Give me.
Save it for later. Making fans again.
Right?
Yeah.
Are we there?
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
Rock and
definitely.
roll. Proceed.
Well, and you know, but it's a good point because it does seem like the more the years click by, the less bands there are that give you that feeling that you were just talking about. You know?
God, that's why there's no big
And
bands,
I
man.
know.
Like, I don't want to go see a band and be pissed off about life.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it does, just because it's heavy doesn't mean that it has to be, like, pissed off.
Yeah.
But I'm just
exactly.
saying, I'm like, dude, why do you think, like, I don't know, man, I love boobs. I wish I would see less hoodies, it shows. Unless there was nothing under the hoodie but boobs. You know what I mean? And I'm just saying, like, I guess that fun element.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I think it's just gotten way too serious. Way too serious, bro. You know, and it doesn't need to be, because you watch everything else. Country's still huge. Hip-hop's still huge. Pop is huge. Like, everyone complains about the industry, and it always just seems to be the rock cats
Yeah.
that are losing on it. But I'm like, what are you really doing about it? And why aren't you exciting people about what's going on? It should be exciting that you're coming to town. It should be like, oh my God. Like, we went over to the UK, our bus would roll up, and there was kids, like, lined up at, like, 8 in the morning. And I'm
Really?
like, don't they have school? Yeah. But they're here.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It doesn't happen that way anymore, dude. You got to practically go and drive to each city, bring people to the show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's because it doesn't feel like an exciting event.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
oh, yeah.
but someone country will come into town, like,
Oh,
God,
man.
who just came to Dallas? Garth Brooks sold out like 5 nights in a row.
Mhm.
What the fuck, dude?
Yeah.
People were 2 shows a night.
Yeah.
People were losing their minds. Garth Brooks was here.
Yeah.
But all the songs are real. Some serious ones, there's some sad ones, there's some fun ones, there's, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was like, I just feel like that element is so gone, and I want to bring that back, like, desperately. I don't care about critical acclaim. I don't care if everyone says I'm the worst guitar player, singer ever in the world. Could give 2 shits. You know what I mean? Like,
Oh,
I just want
definitely.
our band, I want to bring that excitement back.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm coming from.
Well, you know, I can't even remember who it was or where I heard it, but it was recently. Somebody said, you know, it was I can't remember, it was a front man, you know, of an older band, said that, you know, back in the day there was always this element of danger at
Yeah.
the shows, like something could happen, and now that's gone. It's just so safe.
That's funny that you
Well, people
say
did
that.
it the wrong way too, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm gonna cut you off, like, but what I have seen is, like, people get wrapped up in the drug and drinking thing, and they wrap that up as being the dangerous element. And that wasn't the dangerous element, dude. You know what I mean? Like, when I was watching Motley Crue at 9 years old, I didn't think about that. There was just that feeling in the air. You know what I mean? Like, I'm stoked, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, the lights would go down, and I would get chills. Like, I didn't think, like, oh my God, Nikki Sixx is gonna do heroin on the side of the stage. It's so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
And there's gonna be some naked chick. It was just like, there was just so many, like, things packed into that, like, the frequencies alone of the band when they hit the stage, you were just like,
Yeah. You were
know?
you were afraid, but at the same time you were compelled.
yeah.
You know, that's how I always thought,
You know what I mean?
thought it out.
And because I got into music young, that's why I feel like I didn't know those things. So I don't equate them to being a part of the formula.
Yeah.
Like, band members being a bunch of fuck-ups, it does not equal the excitement of the band. I think it's
right.
the energy within the band, because I knew none of that at 5 years old. You know what I mean? Nothing about drugs, money,
Yeah.
and it's just like, Kiss lit it up.
Yeah.
That was it.
That was that primal.
Yeah.
It's funny that ended up being your conclusion, the danger element. We, when we first started out, we had like a running joke because sound guys would call the next city and warn their sound crew about us. We would get there and they would go, oh, cool, hey, you know, same way you introduce, oh, what's up, I'm Norman, hey, I'm Matt, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And they would like almost take a step back, like, oh no, they're fucking here. We heard you were coming and you're here now. And and it was all just because like we've had fun. Like you know, and shit happens to get destroyed. You know what I mean? And it's just, and you know, we've kind of had to like learn like, okay, maybe I shouldn't put my foot through this or kick this off stage or, you know, blah, blah, blah. But it was all always accidental. Like, it was all always genuine. Like, dude, I was rocking, watching you rocking, and that's how this got broken. That's my final answer. You know what I mean? Like, I was watching you tear it up, so I was tearing it up harder, and then you started tearing it up harder, and we knocked this thing over, and it's broken now, and they're trying to bill us. So what do we do?
Right.
You know what I mean? And
that's that danger, yeah. But I'm saying, man, like, we didn't, like, I don't drink or smoke or do any drugs. Like, every decision I make is absolutely conscious when we're playing. But our heads are wrapped around whatever it takes to get the show popping. You know what I mean? And I don't know how many shows we've been, like, banned from. You know what I mean? Like, I've literally twice in a row in the same city, like, for using foul language. And I'm like, I wasn't even singing the song. Like, the fans knew it and they sung it. But it was, one was inciting a riot. Another one was, using foul language at a tattoo convention, an outdoor rock show tattoo convention. You know who you are. And somehow I was the bad one. And they were like, there's kids here. And I'm like, there's half naked women getting tattooed on their nipples.
That's right.
And you can't even hear a damn word I'm saying. But I think it was just that connection that we had that would make someone feel like, man, this could erupt if they really, really wanted it to. You know what I mean? And that's part of, like, our power. Like, there's sometimes, like, I was on stage a couple nights ago, and I was not having it. And there was an obvious difference in the way that it felt. You know what I mean? Whenever one of us isn't present, you can feel it. You know what I mean? It's like, so I think we just have that thing. I know we do. You'll see it tonight. And without even trying, you know what I mean?
Nice.
I was wondering if you could just talk about the Sound Foundation, what it is you guys do.
Nice. I'm glad you know about that. That's a music school, artist development studio that I own in Dallas, down in Deep Ellum. And I started that because it was like I wanted so badly for something to be like that around when I was that age. You know, when I was coming up in bands, when just, you know, a cool guitar teacher that was in a band, not some dude that, you know, did it 40 years ago. And that's cool too. But I mean, you want those what feel like relevant real-time answers for your questions that you have, you know? How do I hook this pedal up? How do I get this kind of tone? Like, the things that I take for granted now, you know what I mean? I remember them being so huge back then. What would be better? Where should I put my pedal? What kind of gear should I use? Where should I stand? What should we do? How should we do this? What should we wear? You know? So much more than just a guitar lesson. It's like, you know what I mean? You're developing an artist. You know, how do I write a song? How do I go from the chorus into the bridge, you know? And it keeps me inspired. And I've got a great team of instructors as well. I've got CJ from Drowning Pool works out with me as well. And we've got maybe like 13 bands at this point that are out gigging. We've got one that's playing tomorrow night, one that played last weekend. I mean, they're out gigging. They've released material. And I mean, it's simple market entry stuff and singles, you know, and digital retailers. But the thing is, it really kind of gives them a lesson and shows them how you don't just learn guitar and be the best guitar player, because there's always going to be a better one. You learn how to be the best that you can possibly be and develop your craft and your art. And I think a lot of kids don't get the opportunity to follow the music dream and make it better, which I think hurts our industry in the long run, because someone who wants to get into sports can start at, 4 years old with t-ball. And they have 14 years to, try to get really good at it before hey, kid, you got to make a life change. A lot of, these kids, man, they don't get that chance till, closer to graduating. And then when they graduate, they realize there's all these options at the collegiate level. But at that point, it's like you got 4 years to get your degree, dude, because you got to get a real job, and not realizing that more than just being in a band, there's, being a guitar maker, working on pickups, being a guitar tech, being a tour manager, a production manager, owning a club, running a club, doing marketing, social media marketing, being a promoter, being a radio person, being a marketing person for radio. So many facets to the industry that they just had no idea about, you know, so it's very hard for them to get good at it over time, you know. So I think if we get started a generation and a half at least before, you know what I mean, maybe this will help pump fresh new blood into our industry at a younger age that's also much more experienced and might bring that life and that love back, you know, and teach them all the right stuff too. Teach them about the big bands and the fun things and the, you know what I mean, and let them do whatever they want with it, but give them the most amount of knowledge. Like for me, it's always so hard to leave because I'm so close with all of them. You know, it's like you go on the road and you're like, oh man, and scheduling, and I don't want to let parents down and the kids, but at the same time, I have relevant real-time information to give them when I come back from the road, you know, that I'm like, dude, this is the industry that I'm in at this moment, and this is how this is working. And so to be able to kind of just edify their musical journey that way is really awesome, man.
Well, I'm sure it gives them, you know, pumps them up seeing you leave and come back and tell them stuff, you know.
Yeah, it is,
rather
man.
than
I've
just
always
some
got good
dude
stories
sitting there telling them about stuff from the past, like you said.
Right. Well, because it was, man. I mean, like, I got really good at guitar within 2 years, and it was like those were my questions. Like, man, how do you, how would I do this, or how do you get your strap to not ball, or why do you use this processor versus these pedals, or this rig versus this, or this tone, or when I'm recording, what do you mean a mid scoop? Like, I don't, you know, all those just things that make musicians better. That it's not just about the instrument; it's about what that person is putting into themselves. You know what I mean? A great example is like Tommy Lee, you know, because I being able to work with him was killer, and I grew up as a fan. But even more so, everyone's always like, oh, Tommy Lee, greatest rock drummer or whatever. It's not all that great, but it's what it is within himself that he does when he hits those skins that just makes you like, yeah, boom, just kick and snare, and you're like, I love this. And I don't even know why. Like, listen to the tunes. There's never really anything intricate going on. But you see them live, and you're just, like, mesmerized.
That's what you remember,
You know what I mean? You know, and his drum solos and his big old lanky arms. And it was like, it was him being him, and he put the most of himself. A lot of people don't get that chance because they're trying to, again, chase their influences. I want to be just like this, and I want to be just like this. And there's no one there to zone in and be like, dude, you can like those bands, but maybe this is the best of you. You know, like, yeah, man, you'd love, I don't know, cattle decapitation for whatever reason, but maybe you're a great R&B singer and writer. And dude, you can love, and it's hard at that age. You want to be, you want someone to justify, not justify, I guess to just put a legitimate stamp on you, so to speak, and you want to belong to something so badly. Validate, there you go. But you know, there's no one there to tell you, like, dude, you can like this, but you're good at this. You're gonna be successful at writing pop songs or country songs, and you can like the shit you like, but you're really good at this. You know, you're like, oh, I like cattle decapitation, so I have to only play that forever. You know what I mean? And it's just because you want to be validated and you want to be part of something. You know.
Well, it's like you said with athletes. You know, these kids can go to a baseball camp or something. So, I mean, I don't know. That's just a great idea that you got with that. That's
thanks, man.
It's like, how did somebody not come up with that sooner?
Right?
You know?
It's like, seems like there always has been on that smaller scale, like those fantasy camps and stuff.
There's been that, and there's been like
there's
little school of rocks that pop up
well,
everywhere.
That's for like, you know, old dudes that want to
that's
true.
Well, that's what I'm saying. That's the thing. Like, there's very few that are, if any, that are really artist driven. Full time. By somebody that's, you know, in bands, like, doing it, dude. You know, like, if you're at that level, you're either doing one or the other. You know what I mean? Like, you've decided to do this, or you've decided to do this. And I'm trying to ride the wave by doing both. So I think that gives it that little, that difference. You know what I mean? That different element. And then I have friends in bands, so whenever they come through town, I'm like, hey, stop by the school. You know, I've had Machine Head, Gemini Syndrome, Butcher Babies, Nuno Betancourt, Alice Cooper, and that's cool because I just walk in and kids are like, you know, I won't even announce it. And they're like, is that so and so? And I'm like, oh yeah, go talk to him. What? Yeah. And then they'll sit there and they'll talk and they'll, you know, trade licks or ideas or whatever. Crazy. And they're just like, what? What do you mean, like, CJ's subbing for you while you're on tour? What? You know what I mean? And it's just trippy to them, you know? And I love that feeling. I love being able to do that.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thanks, man.
Well, I guess final question, unless you got anything else.
No, go
would
ahead.
be, Like, after this head beat, or do you guys
Brunette.
have stuff doing?
Oh. Said final question.
Oh, no.
Blonde. I don't know.
10 inches.
Cheese. No, it isn't, man.
Well, no, I was going to say, have you stuff planned into 2016, or is it something you're going to work out after the holidays? Or
No, I know we're going to be on the road. I think right now it's a matter of who we're going to be with. If we're running on our own, going back to the UK, really just kind of probably we're adjusting the game plan as we go, because every city it's turning into something else.
Mm-hmm.
You know, every night it's something else that you're like, wow, I had no idea we were at that level. Awesome. You know, which is cool. You know, so we're just right now we're adapting every day.
Cool.
You know, I mean, we get to some cities on these tours and there's people that know us and you're like, what the hell? We get to other cities that no one knows you.
Wow.
And that's what you expect.
Yeah.
You know, so it's
Yeah.
kind of like, well, do we go back that direction and make them know us? Or do we just keep going to the ones where we have tons of radio and fans and skip the other ones, you know? So it's, again, just adjusting all the time.
Yeah. So
And there's some markets we're really hot in that we haven't been to yet,
Mhm.
just because we've been trying to really build,
Yeah.
you know, the new markets, and with the new record,
Yeah.
just getting those new fans going.
So you're making notes of like every stop.
Oh yeah,
Cool.
that's what this guy is.
There you go.
I'm the nerd with the spreadsheets.
Nice. Well, cool.
Awesome, man. Thank
we
you guys
appreciate
very
it.
much.
Yeah,
We
yeah,
appreciate
thanks.
it.
This is
And Let
awesome.
me know. Thank you, man.
There you go, Norman, Matthew, and Matt from Murder FM. Would like to thank those guys again for not only taking the time to do it, but for taking the time to really do it, you know, because I sat down and just had a full-on talk with us, where a lot of these guys, when we catch them at a show, when they're rolling through town, you know, you don't get a lot of time with them because they're in a time crunch due to stuff they've got going on, you know.
Oh, exactly. I mean, and you know, we're not complaining.
No.
Any time we can get with these guys is great. But it was just really cool to get like a full 45 minutes with these guys and really get into some great conversations. So again, thanks to those guys. It was awesome.
Yeah, like I said, check them out. They're on Spotify and iTunes and everywhere else, and they got a great sound that I think a lot of people will dig. And you know, you can say this about any band, you know, that you like. You think, you know, hey, this band could be big, but these guys really have a sound that I think lends themselves to. I really think that these guys can go somewhere.
That's
Because
right.
they've got all different kind of elements playing together to make themselves have a unique sound that I think will work well. And, you know, I hope it works out for them because they're great dudes.
Yeah, and they really seem to be focused and know exactly where they're going. So, you know, if anyone can do it, it's these guys for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And like we mentioned earlier, go back and check out some older episodes we had, you know, with Warrant and guys from Crowbar, The Sword, Spirit Caravan,
Soil.
King Shifter, all kinds of regional acts, you know, around this area of the country, like Driver and Rocket Science,
Severmind.
Severmind, and Dead Metal Society.
We had Mike Ariza from Frank Hannon's band on. That was awesome.
Yes. So definitely go back at soundcloud.com/thunder-underground. And if you're a band, or if you're part of a band that's an independent band, you want us to play some music, shoot us an email at thethunderunderground@gmail.com. We'd be happy to play your song on our podcast.
Yeah. You know, we like doing that. It's fun, and we like listening to all you guys. So if you kick ass, send us some of your shit.
Definitely. Well, with all that being said, we mentioned earlier that we caught these guys when they rolled through town on the Seasons After tour. And
Yes.
speaking of Seasons After, we also recorded a podcast with the singer of Seasons After, Tony, as well as a couple other guys were there, and they chimed in a couple times. So.
There you go. Yeah, we'll have that in the next week or two or three.
Yes. And we've also got one coming up with Richie Cavallera from Insight.
Yes, that's going to be a good one, dude.
Yeah, looking forward to that. And we've got a couple other lined up that we'll let you know coming up soon.
That's
So,
right.
Till then, once again, check us out at thethunderunderground.com. Thanks to Shauna from Pavement for helping set up this interview with Norman and Matt from Murder FM. And of course, once again, thanks to Norman and Matt from Murder FM. So until next time.
See you later.